depression is basically a mental illness that can affect anyone at any time in their life. And today, about 350 million people around the world are affected by depression. So, symptoms for depression can be unique to each person. So what one person experiences as depression is not necessarily what someone else is experiencing as depression. And what you're looking at now is a chart of different symptoms of depression, and the chart is divided up into emotional, thoughts, behavior, and physical symptoms of depression. And so depression can affect all of these areas, and it has so many symptoms, and these are just some of them. There are some more symptoms of depression. But these are just basic categories of them. A lot of people who have depression don't really show signs of having depression, and they may hint at having depression, like they may sort of hint at a sign, but they really don't show depression in their everyday life.
The way that they present themselves to their friends, to their teachers, to anyone really at school, in public, is completely different than how they might act when alone or with like one friend.
Because people don't show signs of depression, they're often keeping their feelings and emotions on the inside and not really discussing them because they don't want to discuss. Because one of the symptoms on the chart said guilt, and there's a lot of guilt that goes in depression. Like you feel like it's your fault that you have depression and stuff like that. So you often keep all that stuff on the inside, and because of this, it starts to feel like this spiral of depression that you can never get out of, and that there's no end to it. And that has to do with like guilt and thinking that's your fault, and so that you don't know what to do, and like all the symptoms of depression just start to build up, and it creates a spiraling effect. So obviously depression is a pretty serious thing, but the word depression is used pretty flippantly throughout our language. Like people will say, that movie was so depressing, or wow, that was such a depressing thing, or wow, I'm so depressed right now. And that's not really the way that we should be using that word.
People today are like, oh yeah, I was like so depressed like about that, and like people don't realize that it's an actual thing, that it's an actual problem for people. And sometimes when they like informalize it, like, oh yeah, like that's not like you're just sad that one time, and it doesn't, that's just a one-time thing, but it's not. It's so that can like make people realize, like make people think that they're not as important, like that's what's going on with them isn't important, but it is.
The word depression and depressed is used way too lightly. Like I hear so many people are like, oh, I'm so depressed, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I just feel like it's just used way too lightly on such a sore subject and tough subject.
It's sort of when people use it in that way, and it's like, it sort of is invalidating to people who are struggling with depression. And that's not to say that whatever you're going through isn't hard or stressful, but it's like,
There's two different.
Right, you need to, yeah, find a different word.
One of the biggest things that I want to get across in this video is that if you're experiencing depression, you're not alone, and it's okay. It's okay to have depression, it's okay to feel overwhelmed, it's okay to express that and to talk about it, it's okay to be going through it. It's totally okay. There's a lot of stigma around depression and around people who have depression, and that's not right, and none of that's true. And it's okay to have depression, it's okay to talk about it, it's okay to want to seek help, and it's okay to go see help. People will understand when you talk to them about it. You know, you should go seek help if you have depression. That's really important. Your mental health is important, and it's very important that you seek help. And the reason that I know this is because I have depression. I've suffered from depression for about 4 years of my life. It started when I was 12 years old, and I was in 7th grade then. and it's basically continued until now. And I just slowly am getting better, and you know, it's a difficult situation to be in. It's difficult to experience it, it's difficult to express it, and it's not something that you want to keep on the inside, because when you do, you often try to do destructive things to yourself, and you end up having a hard time getting through it, and you need to talk about it. Because when I didn't talk about it, my first couple years of my depression, I didn't talk about it. I didn't acknowledge that I had depression because I was really ashamed of having it, because I just felt really guilty for having it and feeling the way that I did. I ended up trying to commit suicide because I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to deal with it, and I just felt really overwhelmed because I wouldn't deal with it. But once I started talking to people, like my family and friends and teachers and counselors at school, it just totally changed. I totally felt better about it and less overwhelmed and less controlled by my depression, and it slowly is getting better by seeking professional help and by getting that help and using it. And so you're not alone in it. People do understand. You know, lots of teens go through depression. It's okay to have it. It's okay to experience it. It's okay to talk about it. It's totally okay. You're gonna be okay. You just, you know, need to get some help, and that's fine. Lots of teens feel overwhelmed because it's high school. High school's overwhelming. You know,
well, high school's rough, first of all. And mostly they're trying to find out who they are, and if they don't know, they feel like there's something wrong with them, I think.
Being a teenager sucks.
Sucks.
The adolescence years, wow, what a journey. I think it's really, you're finding yourself and everyone around you is finding themselves. And it's like you're being exposed to this whole new world and you're trying to figure it out and be okay with everything. And yeah, if you aren't like a fully developed adult, you haven't experienced everything. So like as you go through stuff, they can affect you more, and you have to learn how to cope with it so then later on in your life, it doesn't affect you as intensely.
You are like your mental health. So if you're having a rough day, it could be that, it could be something else. And I just think that people need to talk about it more and help categorize their emotions better so they know what they're feeling and not just like jumble them all together.
just as people tell us that it's important to take care of our physical health, it's important to take care of our mental health.
I mean, a brain is an organ just like any other organ in your body. Just like your heart can get sick, your lungs can get sick, you know, I guess your brain can kind of get sick too. And it's no one's fault. It's definitely not the person's fault. You know, nobody goes up to someone with heart disease and says, you know, like, you know, or someone with a liver problem and says like, you know, you need to snap out of it. You get help and you take care of it. And, you know, the brain's an organ just like any other. And just like any other, the chemicals can sometimes go a little wrong. And when that happens, what you do is you get help.
To take care of our mental health, I have 4 tips for you. One is to take time for yourself. So we're constantly busy and doing stuff, and so it's really important just to take some time for yourself, get away from technology, get away from people, and just spend some time with yourself. The second tip is you don't have to be Superwoman. Know your limitations. So we're constantly doing things, we're constantly adding more stuff to what we're already doing, we're taking on everything, we don't really say no a lot of the time. And a lot of that has to do with that we don't want to disappoint people like our parents, or teachers, or friends, or anything like that. And a lot of times like, we're afraid of disappointing ourselves as well. So we never really say no. But it's important to say no if you're feeling overwhelmed, because we all have limitations, because we're all not perfect. And it's okay to tell someone that you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't think you can do it by yourself. The third tip is to get support. So get like a group of friends, or maybe your youth group, or your family, or whoever it is, you know, just get a group that will support you and help you out if you ever need help. So if you ever do feel overwhelmed, you know, find that group that will help you get through it, and then in return that you can help them get through something. The fourth tip is don't be afraid of your feelings. I feel as women that we're constantly being told, like, you're so emotional and all that stuff like that, that we sort of view feelings as a negative thing. We're like, okay, well, I don't really want to show my emotions because apparently that's bad. But newsflash, everyone has emotions. And it's okay to feel a certain way. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. Those are okay emotions to have. And it's okay to express them to someone. It's okay to tell someone, this is the way that I'm feeling. So you shouldn't feel like you have to keep your emotions in, because it's very important that you express them and that you're not afraid to show them, because keeping them in causes a lot of problems for your mental health. In conclusion, your mental health is very important. It's just as important as your physical health. And it's very important that you get help, that you get support and you seek out help. You know, your friends and your family and the counselors at school are really great support systems for you, and they will help you figure out what you need to do and what you need to help yourself and how to help yourself and how to help your friends if that's what you need and stuff like that, that they're great support for you. And so definitely seek help, especially if you have depression. You know, talk about it. Talk about your feelings. Talk about the way that you feel, and don't feel alone, because lots of people suffer from it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay. You know, you're gonna be fine. You just gotta get some help and everything will be okay.